This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning and welcome to the debate show. I'm your host, B.A. Along with me is Jack Hurst and James Martin. Hope you gentlemen are doing good this morning. It is the 11th of October. We are here for the debates. So let's get into it. First question of the morning. Should the NFL fine a New York Giant coach Brian Daboll for snapping at the doctors while Jackson Dart was in concussion protocol?
Could I call a quick little audible? But Brian, you're the host. You can audible me out of this question if you want, because you have the ultimate authority. The Tiger Mariner Classic game yesterday, the Mariners won in 15 innings. I'm sorry, you being a Tiger fan, a Detroit guy. Skubal, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, was taken out after 99 pitches, 6 innings. It's debatable. Was that the correct decision? I'm just throwing it to you to just start it, and then we'll go to the Giant question.
Well, Skubal shouldn't have been taken out in the 6th. That's just me flat out, because the dude had 13 Ks and he was throwing at 100 miles per hour in the 6th inning. So he looked like he was determined to strike the hold. Strike the entire side out for the next 3 innings. So I just, and he didn't look very happy when he got pulled. Whatever Hinch said in his post game presser, he was like, "Oh yeah, it was a mutual decision." No, it wasn't. No, that was not a look of a mutual decision on Skubal's face. It looked like he wanted to stay in there and get that game won. It's the 5th game of the series for all the marbles, and to go on to play Toronto. And they just didn't do it. So congratulations to Seattle. They had a better, I feel that they managed the game better for themselves to win. So that's just me.
Okay, I just thought we'd get that in there because it was a classic game last night, the 15 inning game. I guess Brian Daboll is maybe happy it was a great game because maybe it took a little of the attention off him, because normally one thing dominates the sports news. And the question here, should the NFL fine New York Giant coach Brian Daboll for snapping at the doctors while Jackson Dart was in concussion protocol? Now, should they fine him? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They should suspend him for 1 game. They shouldn't fine him. They should suspend him for 1 game. What the NFL routinely fines guys for whatever. They fined Jerry Jones $250,000. They claim Jerry Jones flipped the bird to the fans. I'm not sure whether Jerry Jones did it. He said he didn't. His finger came up a certain way. Sometimes pictures are shown in a certain way. You could take a freeze frame and it looks a certain way. Okay, it looks a certain way. I mean, I was talking to promoter Bob Arum, a year and a half ago. We were hanging out at a cocktail party at a boxing event, and I was giving him a couple of hand motions, I guess. And it looked like I was giving the Nazi salute to him. And he was the son of a rabbi. Obviously, I wasn't doing that. That's insane. But if someone wanted to put the picture out there, mention it, that's the way it looked. Because the hand could move, there could be emotion. The still photos are very, it's awkward. You could get anyone on a still photo as their body's moving a certain way. Jerry Jones said he meant to give a thumbs up and he went whatever, with his hand, his thing up in the air. I believe Jerry. He was fined $250,000. He's not appealing it. He can afford the $250,000. It's worth it to him to make it go away. It was worth it to him if he actually did what he was fined. It made him feel good. The Cowboys won the game. The concussion protocol is a very serious thing set up by the NFL. They have a tent over there, okay? And they're doing it for the players' well-being. We see the way a lot of these players wind up. To send them back in the game with a concussion is downright dangerous. So Brian DeBall goes over to the tent. He shouldn't have been anywhere near the tent. And I don't want to hear, I wanted to check up on my player to see that he was okay. I was concerned about his safety. When you check up on a player, if he's down on the field and he looks badly hurt and they're going to cart him off and you want to check up on him, you want to say something encouraging, like what happened when Dak Prescott got injured. You had Jason Garrett come out to the field to check on him. And I think even when Jason Garrett was a broadcast after the Cowboys let him go, he went to check. Brian DeBall was snapping at the doctor, wanting to know, when's he going to get in the game? Is he going to get in the game? And doctors are compromised by that pressure, especially it's a team doctor. They're compromised. And believe me, I've been involved heavily with physicians for 10 years. I was an officer of the American Association of Professional Ringside Physicians, involved in boxing. And I know doctors in certain cases, I don't want to say can get influenced, but they feel a certain outside pressure. And if you don't believe it, think of all the big major fights that take place. We haven't heard one case ever of a doctor canceling the fight right before because he found something wrong with a fighter. And you better believe there's been at least a few instances where something has been wrong with a fighter, where he shouldn't be in the ring, but there's too much pressure. What Brian DeBall did was outrageous. He could apologize after, let him apologize after he suspended the game, because he went way over the line. It's one thing you went to the tent and you stuck your head in to see how Jackson Dobb was doing. That was wrong. And even his own owner, John Maris, said he was wrong, DeBall, regardless of what he intended. So you go to the tent, that's one thing. That should be a fine in itself. But when you start snapping at the doctor over there, he went way over the line, compromising a player's well-being.
I agree that everything should be about optics. I mean, you definitely, when you see something, you look at it from many different angles. If it's not an illusion, it's something that happened. I mean, you see, like, okay, you see a guy like Jerry Jones, which I disagree with you in saying that you believe him, that he was trying to give him the thumbs up. Jerry, come on, we definitely, maybe you're being facetious or sarcastic. Definitely, that was not the thumbs up. There are two different digits on your hand there. It's just definitely a major difference there. So with that said, the optics look bad with Brian DeBall in regards to him going, knowing the rules, that you have rules in place. Nobody except a medical examiner, independent specialist, and the guy said, let me see, the league's chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, told reporters that there's only so many people that can be in the tent. There's either a medical examiner or both, independent specialist, and potentially a team athletic trainer can be in there. No one else. That excludes Brian DeBall. That excludes Scatterboo. They should not be peeking in or anything like that. Now, with that said, I have to take the word of Brian DeBall, because I don't believe there will be any evidence that he had any influence to persuade the doctor to allow the kid to play, even if he had a concussion protocol. You got to have insurmountable evidence, I think, to fine him or to suspend him. I don't think he should be either. Maybe fine him again for peeking his head in, but not suspended. I don't think he should be suspended at all, unless there's the doctor comes out and say, "Hey, he trying to apply pressure on me, and this is my job on the line. This is my career. I don't know if I'm going to get blackballed, so I went the direction of Brian DeBall because he's in fear of losing his job because of the quarterback." And which is crazy because honestly, the kid is playing okay. To put all your hopes and marbles into Jackson Dart as to save your job, who's to say what he's going to do? Because it's a mixed bag so far. You know, you saw what he did against the Saints, and then we saw what he did the game prior to that, and then we saw this previous game. It's a mixed bag. So we don't know if Brian DeBall's job is still safe anyway. And with that said, you know, that tells me he has no confidence in Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston. So everything is all on Jackson Dart. And with that said, I just think that again, what he said, he was concerned about the welfare of his kid. I mean, not kid, but Jackson Dart, and whether or not he's going to come back in the game because the process was taking too long. It was taking like 10 minutes, and he apologized for bringing the doctor. And I think we move on here. I don't think there's any, unless there's any evidence that he was trying to persuade to do anything wrong. I just don't think it's enough to say that he should be suspended.
James, since we've been doing this debate, this has been your weakest debate performance on a question. This is beyond weak. I mean, I'm glad. Don't use this as an audition, okay? This question, because you wouldn't make it to the second audition. On one end, you're saying he doesn't have confidence, which I agree. And Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, apparently he doesn't have confidence in them. That's why he went over. If it was a special teams player, he wouldn't be, or if it was a backup, he wouldn't be nearly as concerned about his well-being as he is about Jackson Dart. He needed Jackson Dart back in the game. And I'm not saying he was going to overrule the doctors, you know, if he has a concussion to get him back in the game, but he was snapping at the doctors like, make a decision quick. I got to know what I'm going to do. And he was compromising the medical process. And that's the bottom line. He was compromising the medical process. The doctors know they have to make a determination on Jackson Dart as quick as reasonably possible. They know that. They know the game goes on. They know they don't have an hour to waste. You know, they have to decide whether he could go back in the game or not. And they have to do it, but, you know, within a reasonable time frame. They're aware of that. But Brian DeBall was so caught up in the game that he went over and he pressured the doctor. Any way you look at it, now, did the doctor feel the pressure? I don't know what the doctor was thinking. But we have to agree, you know, doctors are human. Some of them are going to feel the pressure. And I know a lot of these doctors. And I'm going to tell you, some of these doctors from the boxing group were involved with the NFL as team physicians as well, okay? Involved with team officials as well. And even though he wasn't one of them, like a Dr. Ronald Kam, he was in charge of with head injuries, head trauma with the NFL. He was one of the top doctors. He might still be. I have to look that up. But doctors are human. They feel the pressure. I was sitting next to a doctor once at a club show, okay? Small club show, one fighter's getting hit, and I told him, I think you should now come in. You have to stop the fight. The moment I said it to the doctor, he got up, he stopped the fight. Because
come on, Jack.
But they're human. The point is,
I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you right there. Did you watch the actual play between the coach and the doctor interaction? Did you see their interaction?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw DeBall's interaction. He looked someone who was in panic. The doctor looked cool, calm, and collective. So why would he give the appearance of somebody that's saying he's going to fold under pressure? He looked at the ball like, man,
I
you need to
didn't say
chill.
would. Some doctors would. Some doctors would. The majority.
We're not talking about some. We're talking about the guy that's on the field making the determination of Jackson Dart.
Intent.
But I'm giving you the optics of telling me the doctor's going to look at the ball and say, I'm going to make the decision on whether he can play or not. It's my decision.
But the ball had no business going in there because he potentially
I agree.
Compromised a medical situation.
But I agree. But from what I saw, he did not. He did not. That doctor looked like he made it.
It's intent here.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I think he did not. Like I said, the evidence has to be there and be insurmountable. If you're somebody, if I'm a prosecutor and I'm looking at that guy and saying that he does not look like he was persuaded to change his mind and do something. Yes, he looks like somebody that just definitely. So my argument is not as weak as you think, sir. I was waiting on you, setting the trap for you.
That was no trap at all. We're going to take back Jerry Jones's $250,000 fine because no one at all was offended by it. The fans were laughing along with Jerry. So bottom line is, no one was insulted. No one got mad. Everyone laughed about it. Case closed. He shouldn't get fined because of that.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm going to put it to you this way.
Interview there, James. He's done a great job on other questions, but not on this one. Come on.
Well, first of all, you guys are both talking about optics. Okay? Screw optics. You're going by assumptions, what was said down there by that tent. I'm going to tell you what happened, and I'm going to go by assumption. Brian DeBall was concerned for Jackson Dart. He's, like you said, he's a human being. People have concern that, Jackson Dart has been being, extraordinary. He put him in there. He made a decision to put that rookie in the situation that he was in. Okay. He felt he was responsible. He went over to the tent, even though he knows he's not supposed to be over there. When he went to go say something, the doctor said, "Coach, get the hell out of here. You're not supposed to be around this medical tent." And he took offense to that. And that's why he started yelling at the doctor. And the doctor was like just doing his job. But see, you guys are looking at the optics, but it's the assumption that people think nobody knows what was actually said in that moment. You just assumed that, there was this going on. So the assumption is there. And I feel that's all it was. He just went there. He knew he shouldn't have been there, but he was concerned about his quarterback. And the doctor told him to get the hell away from the medical tent. And he took offense to that. And he yelled at him about it. And the doctor was saying, "Look, dude, you're not supposed to be over here. Nobody's supposed to be over here but the doctor and a player and an assistant. That's it. You're not supposed to be over here." So the doctor played it. You're making the doctor act like he's a weak guy.
I did not say that. I said what could have been. You're taking it out of context.
I'm not taking it out of context. No more than you just took it out of context right there. You took it out of context right there about saying that he's got this pressure on. No, he don't. He's a doctor in the NFL. If this was college, it would have been different.
Well, they're doctors in college. Same thing. If it's a strong doctor, he's going to handle it the right way. You might get a doctor who would get intimidated by the coach. It's possible, very possible.
I'm just saying, but did it look like there was intimidation?
It didn't happen in this case, but that's not the point.
So why? But that's not the point, Jack. What are you arguing? That's what I'm trying to say. What are you arguing? If you are arguing the fact that Brian DeBall went over there and he shouldn't have went over there, he apologized for that. And even his owner said, "Hey, you shouldn't have been over there, bro. You should have been coaching the game." But Brian DeBall went over there to check out his quarterback. And he probably knew it wasn't right. And the doctor told him, you need to get the hell away from the medical tent because we're
and then he got angry at the doctor.
And then he got angry. And that's all there was to that.
It's easy to be gracious after the game when your team won. Oh, I was wrong. I was out of place. Like I remember Michael Jordan once saying, yeah, the officials, they put me in my place by giving me a technical. I was out of line. Of course, the Bulls won the game. So Jordan says, yeah, they put me in my place. He said it all graciously.
But I'm just saying it probably just boiled down to that whole situation where he went in there, was concerned about his quarterback, and remember, he's the one that put that rookie in that position.
Concerned about the game, winning the game. He was concerned about.
Okay, gentlemen.
The game at the time he went in the concussion protocol.
We're going to go to the next question. We did good here. I think that's a great debate on this. We can talk after hours about this we turn blue in the face. But let's move on to the next question.
All right.
Agreed.
Did Chris Jones deserve the criticism he received on the play that Trevor Lawrence ran for a touchdown?
So I'll start this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you a reason why I think he did. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you 30 million reasons why I think he quit on the play and he deserves the criticism. He gets paid $30 million to be a defensive tackle from start to finish, to play the game, to be he's an all pro. You got your accolades, you got the money. There's no way you should be standing still in the red zone with a quarterback that's about to end the game if he scores a touchdown. And it pretty much happened. That's the way it happened. And we're talking about optics. There's no denying what happened here. And not only that, he didn't take at the post press conference. He didn't take responsibility. He pretty much threw the guys that missed the tackles under the bus. And you're standing there. You're supposed to be the leader of your defense. You're supposed to be the guy in the center saying, look, not on my watch. I'm going to make sure no matter what happens, I'm in the play regardless, even if you guys didn't make the play. And then for me, I get it. I'm going to say he's probably not conditioned at the end of the game. He's tired. He's 31. He's catching his breath because they probably, they ran all the way. I mean, they got all the way down the field. This is a guy that's like almost 300 pounds, if not 300 plus pounds, at the end of a game. He's probably winded. He's tired. And so he's not moving. But at the end of the day, if you were caught with your hand in the cookie jar, just go ahead and admit it. And I would give him more props for that and say that. But Andy Reid called him out on it too as well in regards to that. You got to finish a play. Even if you think the guy's being tackled, you need to be in that area stopping the play. And it was clearly like a comical, like unusual play where he falls down twice, in Trevor Lawrence, and then he outmaneuvers two guys and they miss tackles, and he goes in and scores a touchdown. In all intents and purposes, if Chris Jones is in that area, he's stopping that touchdown. And so you got to look at it from that perspective and say, you dropped the ball, not Trevor Lawrence. And I definitely think he deserves all the criticism and then some, because when you're winning and when you're doing great things, you take all the accolades, you take everything. But with winning and losing comes responsibility as well. I mean, you got to take responsibility for what you didn't do. And so, yes, I'm not going to beat that, beat a dead horse here, but I just think definitely he deserves the criticism and then some.
If you want to give him a little criticism, you can for that particular play. You could say to Chris Jones, Chris, you really, played that very poorly. But that's about it. This is Chris Jones we're talking about. Leave it alone. This is arguably the greatest player in Kansas City Chief history on the defensive side of the ball. Arguably. The guy's going to the Hall of Fame. The guy's been the heart and soul of the Kansas City Chiefs defensive unit during their Super Bowl runs. When's he been known not to play hard? This is the same nonsense we heard about Cam Newton in the Super Bowl because the ball was on a certain angle and he reacted too slowly. And people were questioning whether Cam Newton wanted it bad enough. And with everything that Cam Newton was through, with all the hits he took, people had the audacity to question his heart and how he would put it on the line. I didn't question Cam Newton for one moment with that play. I just let it go. let this go with Chris Jones. It was a bad look. He froze at that moment, or he had a mental lapse. It's only one play. It's not that he didn't want it bad enough. It was a very awkward play, and he played it poorly. You have to play the ball no matter what till the whistle. I get all that. It was a bad play by Chris Jones, and even the optics were even worse. We all get that. But for everyone to pile on these talk shows the next day on Chris Jones, and now they're going to label him. When people think of Chris Jones, they're going to be thinking of this play perhaps throughout his career. And they might not forget it so easy, this particular play. It was an awkward play. There were other defenders there. When Trevor Lawrence fell and then fell again, where was everyone else? But Chris Jones kind of froze on his spot. He didn't move. He didn't react the way he should have. We agree it was a bad play by Chris Jones. His reaction time was terrible. But don't think for 1 second Chris Jones doesn't want to win badly. He maybe hurt himself a little at the post-game press conference by saying we all have to do better as a team. But guess what? If Chris Jones got 4 sacks, you know what he'd be saying? We played well as a defensive unit. He wouldn't be taking the credit, so he shouldn't be taking the blame. And the answer is no, he doesn't deserve this criticism that he received on the play. Maybe if it was another player with less of a pedigree, we could criticize him the way Chris Jones has received the criticism. But with the record Chris Jones has put out there, leave him alone. Leave him alone. We know the type of player he is. We know the effort he puts forth all the time.
But I agree with you definitely, Jackie. I mean, he's an all pro. He's played with heart and soul. And what I will disagree with you when you say arguably the greatest defensive player for, I would say second. I mean, that could be another debate because Derek Thomas is clearly the hands down the best defensive player ever there
I
in
could
Kansas City.
arguably, Derek Thomas, yeah, I'll agree with you. But if someone said Chris Jones, they liked him a little better than Derek Thomas, you're not going to say that's ridiculous. That's my
Fair
point,
enough.
arguably. But I agree with the Derek Thomas
Fair
statement.
enough. What I will say though is you got to. I mean, the society we live in is that nobody can take criticism, but everybody takes all the accolades. He's got to take it. I don't care how many media outlets that is coming up on. That's just what comes with the game. Do what you're supposed to do. And now, mind you, I will say everything wasn't his fault. I mean, your quarterback threw a pick six. That changed the momentum of the game. And 99 yards. And so in the red zone. So, yes, that definitely changes the whole scope of the game. And did Pat Mahomes get any flack for that? Probably not, because he's Pat Mahomes. But, again, the game is at the end. You can't look back in the rearview mirror. All that happened way before that. You're at the end of the game. This is the end of the game. This is where all the marbles matter. If you stop them, you could change the momentum and obviously win the game if you can stop him from getting in the end zone. And you know what type of quarterback Trevor Lawrence is. He can move with his legs. And so it was, like you said, it was comical. It was awkward. He fell down a couple of times. But 2 guys missed the tackle. But I guarantee you, if Chris Jones is in that area, he's not getting in the end zone. And that's where, at least if he does get in the end zone, you can at least say that he was trying to do with his job. He looked like he wasn't doing anything. It looked like he was just trying to catch his breath. And that doesn't look good. Is it conditioning? Is it age? He's 31 now. I mean, I don't know. It could be another thing. But either way, it didn't look good.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a quick statement, just a little correction. When you say he's 31, anyone who's 31 can have the same exact stamina as they were 27. So I don't want to hear, well, he's 31. When they get older, they lose maybe a half step in speed, explosiveness. But the stamina issue and getting tired, you can be 55 years old and have tremendous stamina on the field. So it wasn't a question getting tired because of his age. It's a speed issue more when you get older. So if you want to say he slowed down, maybe slowed down a step, you're starting to now, as opposed to a few years ago, that would be a more valid, argument.
I gotta disagree because it's different for D linemen. Their lifespan and their size matters. I think if you're talking about a wide receiver, sure, Jerry Rice. I mean, which is an anomaly. They go into his 40s and still get 1,000 yards. But you're talking about an edge rusher or a wide receiver guy, a skills guy who's slimmer, who's a lot faster, who's a lot better cardiovascular shape at that age. It changes drastically, Jack, when you're that guy 300 carrying around 300 pounds. Just ask Shaq, who didn't really take care of himself, but at the same time, he was a heavy guy, and it broke him down
You
eventually.
lose explosiveness. That's what I'm saying.
For sure.
You're not quite as quick. And then that affects your mentally reaction time a little bit. But it's not because he was huffing and puffing, I don't think, because he was 31. He would have huffed and puffed when he was 25 if that were the case.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The question I want to ask you there, James, on the soundbite with Andy Reid, was it a question that he responded to, or did he actually say the words Chris Jones in his sentence when he was talking about?
I believe it was a response because I read it in the article. So I believe it was a response. He was asked about it.
He said, did they need to do better on that play, or did Chris Jones need to do better on that play?
No, I believe he was responding to Chris Jones.
Okay. Yeah. See, when your coach recognizes you like that, that's the only really. I mean, he's going to get the criticism from his coach. His coach is going to probably put that on tape and say, "Look, dude, hey, I know it's the fourth quarter, and you're running on your last tank, but this is what these guys get paid for." To your point in the beginning there, James, it's $30 million, dude. You got to do everything you can, and you're the leader on that defense, so you need to set the example. And does he deserve the criticism? It really doesn't make a difference in this day and age. He's going to get it no matter what. And exactly what you said about Patrick Mahomes not getting that, criticism for throwing a pick six, 99 yards. Whereas that turned the tide of the game. Whereas Chris Jones, didn't actually, perform how he was supposed to be on that last play. I mean, it's tick for tack of what happens. Deserve criticism. Kansas City in general deserves criticism for the whole way they played. And I'm sure Andy Reid will be saying the same thing. If Chris Jones took accountability for that action, then we probably would have a different conversation as far as, okay, it was one play, my bad. I messed up. I didn't go full head tilt. I'll do better next time. That's the thing that you would want to hear Chris Jones said. I don't think he even responded to that whole situation in general. So it's perception. I don't know what people think deserves criticism. Like I said, Chris Jones, dude's been in this league for a while. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. He knows better. And it was just a bad look at the wrong time. That's all. But it happens. It's the NFL. The other two guys that tried to tackle him didn't tackle him. I don't see them apologizing. You know what I'm saying? Or getting criticized for missing the tackle. So, and one guy just practically just whiffed. I mean, he whiffed on a tackle. He took on his other guy trying to tackle him and whiffing. So, I mean, it is what it is. Pick yourself up. Go into the next game. Don't go to the next game doing that because they got to play the Lions next. So I hope he gets all criticized out. But anyway. Next question. Who was the greater coach? Not necessarily more accomplished, Bill Parcells or Bill Belichick? And this is you, dear Jack.
Yeah, it's not necessarily more accomplished. That's important to look at because when you look at Bill Belichick having gone to 9 Super Bowls and winning 6, it's easy to call him, well, he was the greatest coach of all time, but that's just numbers. You have to look at all their stops, okay? Bill Belichick coached 5 years the Cleveland Browns. They were 36-44. They made 1 playoff appearance, never came close to being a Super Bowl team. And it's easy to say, well, he didn't have the talent, but he had 5 years to develop the talent. And he never did it, and he got fired after 5 years because they weren't going anywhere. And then obviously he had the greatest 2 decade run in the Super Bowl era with the New England Patriots. And he deserves a ton of credit for that. I don't want to hear, well, he had Tom Brady. That's the reason why he can't win without Brady. I don't go for that. He deserves credit for taking a chance on Brady and elevating him above Drew Bledsoe, who was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at the time. That was a gutsy move. And he had a great program. Kudos to Bill Belichick for the great job he did at New England. But now he goes to North Carolina. We've got to count that in the equation. It's been awful there. There's a train wreck going on with North Carolina. The chapter's not over yet, but it looks like it's going to end ugly. Now compare it to what Bill Parcells did. Parcells went to only 2 Super Bowls. They won them both. But look at all of Parcells' stats, how he's elevated every team he's went to. Outside of the Giants, who were winners the years they didn't win the Super Bowl, they had good teams still. And you could say, well, look at all the talent, this and that. Yeah, all teams that win have talent, you know. But Parcells goes to the Jets. They were 1-15. They have a winning record the first year on the Parcells. Belichick never does anything like that. And they continue to win. They never quite got to the Super Bowl, but they were always contending with Parcells. And even a bad year, they started 2-8 and then won 6 in a row to end 8-8. They were never like a mess with Parcells. He goes to Dallas. They go to the playoffs 2 years out of the 4 he was there. But compare him to the other coaches who were right before and right after. He did a better job than all of them there. And so you just look at the Parcells, tree of how he's improved every team he's went to. And Belichick just, didn't do that in his other 2 stops. Certainly when Brady left, that was a bit of a test. For 4 years, they were mediocre. They made the playoffs 1 year and got blown out in the first game of the playoffs. They won good 4 years in a row. 4 years in a row. If that were Bill Parcells, and Bill Parcells coached the Patriots to a Super Bowl, so he kind of set the table. Look, they won with New England. How do you like that? He went to 3 Super Bowls, not 2. What did I say, 2 before? He just is a better coach. Now, if I'm going to give Belichick the nod, guys, and I don't know if James going to mention this, Belichick was Parcells' defensive coordinator, so you could argue he bumped Parcells up. You could argue that point too. But I just feel if I can have one or the other in their prime, coaching my team, and I needed a winner, or I'm going to throw, you could sum it up at the end, Brian, and then I'll let you guys have your say, and I won't say any more on this issue, but you could sum it up on the end. If Dan Campbell resigned as the Lion coach, and you could get either Belichick or Parcells in their prime, you think it over which one you would want coaching this Lion team, who could take them further. And I'm done with my say on this question.
Go ahead, James.
Jack is hilarious, man. He always wants to put words in your mouth and answer your question for you. He just lets you know that, James, this is probably what you're going to say. And it's like, no, look, come on, man. How can you preface a question and not put, I see you said not necessarily more accomplished. It's just hard to ignore. It's hard to ignore the greatness of both Tom Brady and the head coach, Bill Belichick, and what they produce in New England. I don't care what you say before and after. Sometimes it just depends. There's many guys that have been places they had no success in their first stops and no success in the stop after until they went to a certain team and had greatness done. Like I would say, who was it? Dick Vermeil. He was okay in one place, and the guy went to the Rams.
He went to a Super Bowl with the Eagles before going to the Rams. I have to just cut in with that. Vermeil.
He went to the Super Bowl, yes. He went to the Super Bowl, yes. And he had success, but as far as winning the Super Bowl, it wasn't until he got with the Rams. He got with the Rams, and he didn't get. He coached the Chiefs, and they had moderate success there, but they never got to anywhere near to what he was when he was with the Rams, the greatest show on turf. My point is, like you said, Bill Belichick in Cleveland had some success there. He had Romeo Crennel, I think, as his defensive coordinator there, who started with Bill Parcells, uh, and ultimately he went to the Patriots, obviously, as a defensive coordinator, and they both did. And they were going to go with Bill Parcells to the Jets, but he changed his mind and took the job for the Patriots as the head coach. Probably the greatest decision he ever made. And not only that, you take a 6th-round draft pick and a guy that has been a great leader and a Pro Bowler in the league, and Drew Bledsoe goes down. He was a starter for you. Tom Brady takes over. And Tom Brady wasn't all that great in the beginning. He got better over time. He wasn't all that great. For the most part, defenses won their championship and field goals, won their Super Bowls in the early starts for the and a good running game started for New England. So, and to me, that's based off of who Bill Belichick is in coaching. It's him. It was pretty much him. And so Tom Brady got better as the offense got better. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady made a lot of guys look really good, but it was a combination of things. And as a coach, Bill Belichick, I'm sorry, to get to 9 Super Bowls, man, in the time they did, it's just an incredible run. And I you can look at guys like Richard Seymour. He had some great coordinators. And don't get me wrong, a tree is only as good as the fruit it bears. I look at Bill Parcells. He had Bill Belichick, Tom Coughlin, Sean Payton, Romeo Crennel. That's a great roster to fall out of your tree and to go on and do some great things. Josh McDaniels, Bill O'Brien, Charlie Weiss, Matt Patricia. Not quite as good, but still good. I mean, these are great offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. But I still think that I have to give a little bit of I understand what you're saying regarding Bill Parcells going to every stop, making his teams better. But the championships, you got to include that. You can't just not knock that away and say that, it's not necessarily doesn't make him a better coach because he's more accomplished. Then I don't know. You can't. It's so many other great coaches in different areas like basketball, football, baseball, managers. You got to give them that respect of getting to where they were in those championships because they did it, and it's just a part of it, And so I'll give Bill Belichick the nod here, just because of it, just slightly because of the championships.
I'm gonna put this way: great coaches in history are usually followed by one great player. Okay, Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady. Bill Parcells is one of those coaches, and it's different ways that they coach too. Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick are 2 different coaching styles. Okay, and that either helps your team because it associates the players more of what you want to do. Bill Belichick, we all know, is very passive. He's really doldrums in media conferences and stuff like that. And I'm sure that he might be the same, might be ecstatic when he talks to his players too. That's where, do your job comes from. And it's said, do your job. And Bill Belichick, you got to look at things before and after Tom Brady. Before, when he was with Cleveland, he wasn't a very good head coach. After Tom Brady left, he wasn't a very good coach, considering the fact they went to the playoffs once, and like Jack said, they got blew out in that one playoff game, but they didn't do anything after that. It's the same thing with Andy Reid. Andy Reid went to the Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb, who was arguably probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league at the time. Okay. Now he's got Patrick Mahomes. And you're not going to associate, you're going to say Andy Reid's a good coach, but because he's got a good player. Every coach has one of those guys that takes them to the next level. And that was what Bill Belichick had with Tom Brady. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Bill Belichick. I don't appreciate him as a great head coach, but I don't care about the 9 Super Bowls. There was a whole bunch of things that went into that theory. Josh McDaniels was one of them. And Tom Brady. Tom Brady and his will. He is a great defensive coordinator. One of the best defensive coordinators ever, I think Bill Belichick is. And that would help. And it was an appropriate time when he was coaching the Patriots that Tom Brady was starting to get himself into that offense and start learning that offense. That defense, to James's point, was shutting stuff down. And that was what you saw. And then everything just molded in together to get into those 9 Super Bowls and winning 6 of them. So, I mean, you got to look at it like that. And you see Tom Brady go to another team, immediately go to another team and win a Super Bowl. That's an effect. And then Bill Belichick didn't win anything after that. And then he's at UNC, and unfair to Bill Belichick, rightly so, going to UNC. He's feeling the heat. And this is the time and age where you lose a couple of games, you're already trash as far as a coach in that school. And that's not right. You got to give Bill Belichick some time to formulate what he wants to get done in that school. And I think that being that he is at his age now, he doesn't want to, he doesn't feel like he deserves that pressure. And that's why we have all these rumors going around about him coming out of UNC and going somewhere else or trying to do something else. It's unfair to him in that position, but to Jack's point, I think Bill Parcells is a better coach, even without the accolades. Good morning, Linda. How are you? And yeah, it's Bill Belichick to me his resume may speak for itself in plain English, but if you look behind the curtains, it's not that way. He did have help in that whole association. So I like Bill Parcells too. I had to go with Bill Parcells on that. Just me. All right. Question. The Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks have spoken about a trade involving Giannis, and I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I always massacre it. Should they be willing to trade Jalen Brunson to get it done? I think I'm going to go with Jack on this because he's he's the New York Knicks guy.
Yeah, I'm actually a Brooklyn Nets fan, but currently I'm more of a Knick rooter because the Nets are flat. They're not going anywhere, and I don't know.
Oh, you fair weather fan, you.
No, I mean, I go back from I root for the Knicks right now. Well, I root for the Nets too, obviously. The answer is yes. They should be willing to trade Jalen Brunson to get it done. Look, there's a difference between superstar players and superstar years. Jalen Brunson was great last year. He played like a superstar. But Giannis is a superstar. That's the difference. Giannis is going to get it done year after year. And Giannis is an all-time great player. I mean, you give me the top 50 NBA players of all time. How do you leave Giannis off that group? You can't. You give me the top 25 NBA players of all time. You could put Giannis in that category, top 25. I can make an argument that Giannis is as good as anyone in the NBA today. Now, you could say, well, the Bucks aren't doing that good. Look at Jokic, this and that. But Giannis' supporting cast hasn't been much. It didn't work out with Damian Lillard for whatever reason. Brunson was great with the Knicks. But he'd get the ball. Everyone would be standing around, for the most part. When he had the ball, he did amazing things, Jalen Brunson. But let me put it another way, and I'm going to simplify it and then turn it over to James. Let's make believe we had a younger version of Carmelo Anthony, the same age as Jalen Brunson. Okay, let's just make believe. And I would give you a choice. You could either have Carmelo Anthony or Jalen Brunson. you would probably take Carmelo Anthony instead of Jalen Brunson. But now, let me flip it. Three-way trade. You get a call, same age. You could have Giannis or Carmelo Anthony on the Knicks. Bye-bye, Carmelo. I make the deal before they change their mind. I don't say I'm going to get back to you whether I want to trade Carmelo or not. But maybe Carmelo and Brunson, I'll say, give me a little time to think about it. Okay, that's the point I'm trying to make. He is a superstar player. So the only way you get him, like Pat Riley once said when Mark Jackson was on the trading block, he said, Mark has to understand to get a great player, you got to trade a great player. Even though Mark Jackson wasn't a great player, he complimented him as such. Yeah, absolutely. You move mountains to get Giannis. You do what it takes if you could get a generational talent like that.
So by answering yes, Jack, to me, you're devaluing Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just so you know, it's Antetokounmpo. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're devaluing his trade value. Why I say that? Because he's not. It's going to take way more than Jalen Brunson to get Giannis Antetokounmpo into New York. You're going to have to give up. Good morning. What's going on? Thank you, man. Appreciate it. You're going to have to give up more than you're going to give up Jalen Brunson. You're probably going to give up OG Anunoby. You're probably going to give up Mikal Bridges. You're going to give up maybe 3 or 4 first-round draft picks as well, because that's just how great a player that Giannis will make a team, and he'll make them better. He's going to make them better as a 30-year-old. He averaged 30 points, 30.4, and 11 rebounds a game. And I think he'd be a great compliment to Karl Anthony Towns, because that can allow Karl Anthony Towns to roam and be, he's an outside shooter as well. As big as he is, he likes to be outside and mid range. But Giannis is more of a post guy. I just think though that you're giving up too much. You're going to give up way too much to take him in and be a player. And I can see why the Knicks said that Milwaukee wasn't serious, because they probably wanted a ransom. They probably wanted a ransom for him, which is deserving. I would say there's no way that player is going, they're going to let their bread and butter player go away and there's no equal trade here with Jalen. And Jalen also, why not keep the heart and soul of your team? I know sometimes he's a defensive liability, and I know sometimes that the offense is just standing still because they play ISO ball, but that's how you won. And I need Cat Williams to just step up a little more as a big man. But you know what he is. You traded for him, but that's your player. That's how they won. And I like the rest of these players on this team. Josh Hart, don't get rid of a player like that. Don't get rid of a Mikal Bridges. Don't get rid of a OG Anunoby. Just do better. I think the problem was that you changed your coach. That's the issue. You should have kept the same coach that you had that got you to NBA Eastern Conference Finals that you hadn't been to since 1999. That's my issue with them, is that they changed their coach. I don't think Mike Brown is going to be anything for them, and I think they're going to regress a little bit. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I think they're going to regress with the same team they had, and it won't be because of Jalen Brunson. It won't be because of the staff that the players they have. It's because they changed the coaches. I just think that the price would have been way too high for Giannis to come in.
We don't know what the price would have been. I'll agree.
Jack, stop.
They're not going to trade 4 starters and 3 number ones. They're not going to do that. Milwaukee also understands 1 year from now, they might be forced to trade Giannis, and they're not going to be in as good of a bargaining position. So it's better for them if they could make a deal a year early. I'm thinking in terms of Brunson, Hart, and Towns, those 3 for Giannis. If that can get it done, yeah, I'm not going to give 7, 8 players. I'm not going to give a bunch of number ones and 3 or 4 starters. That we agree on.
But I'm going to tell you this. I'll let you go, Brian. For the Knicks to say that they weren't serious, I guarantee you they were asking a ransom. It had to be, because they don't want to get rid of him. They don't want to get rid of him. That's the guy that got them their second championship in their their leagues. I mean, their history, their team history. So you just need to build around Giannis. I don't know how much longer he has. Like you said, maybe next year, Jack, and they might not have a good value on him as he ages a little bit. But there's no way that no team, if any team really wants Giannis seriously, they're gonna give up a lot.
Yeah, I think that it's also the perception. Giannis is way a better player than Jalen Brunson if we're just trading players. So if Milwaukee does that, what's the perception to the fans? Yeah, I mean, you're trading your best player for somebody that's okay. I'm not saying Jalen Brunson is not a good player, but he's nowhere near where Giannis is. And so you're telling your fans, well, you know what, we kind of quit on this season. So maybe that's the reason why Milwaukee, maybe the Knicks are saying, oh, it's too much. Well, yeah, you're trading their franchise away, basically. So, no, I wouldn't. I'd be, hey, 3 number ones and a couple of players, that's not too much to ask for. If you really want the guy, if you really want that guy, then you're going to be paying for him. So, I mean, it's a good formula for the Knicks. If they want Giannis that bad, you know, yeah, do what you got to do. But Milwaukee's not going to let that go without you know, paying dividends for him. You just can't. You're trading your franchise in for that. So where it's good on paper doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for the team. So,
Brian, I think you're downplaying how good Brunson was. He was a great player with the Knicks last year. Not a good player, a great player. He played like a superstar.
I'm not downplaying that at all. I think he is a great player. I'm comparing him to Giannis, though.
Yeah.
Is he better than Giannis? No, he's not. So and I mean shades above. Giannis is shades above Jalen. The point I'm trying to make is that when you have a player of that nature in Giannis for Milwaukee, you want to trade him, or that you trade him away, your fan base is going to be like, oh,
well, but consider this factor, guys. His age, what is he, 31, 32, Giannis?
He's 30.
30?
He's going to be 30. He's going to be 31. Yeah, in December.
Okay, 30. Okay, so he's still got some good miles left on him.
Yeah. He's still got good miles on him. Well, that is going to be it for our debate show. Thank you for everybody that joined us, Richard, Michael, and of course you, Linda.
Right.
Bless you, and Brent. And we have a plethora of sports coming on this weekend. Enjoy that to the utmost. Congratulations to the Seattle Mariners for beating the Tigers. I hope you guys go all the way. I mean, you guys got a terrific team. Today, the Cubs and Milwaukee play for the 5th game. See who comes out of that. And we have college football today and NFL tomorrow, and we'll talk to you about the NFL and college on the Big Football Show starting at 8 a.m. with myself, Jack, and James, and Keith. And on Monday, we have the Jack and Keith Show, and we also have the Gloved Fist at 7 p.m. on Monday as well. So go ahead and join us for those, and have a great weekend. Adios.